Pero sí, esperamos
Le dije que volviera, pero no tan rápido.
Some journeys are remembered because of where they go. Others are remembered because of what they awaken. This was not simply an apostolic journey. This became a journey of encounter, a journey of gratitude, a journey that reminded many Catholics of something easy to forget, that faith is not a memory, faith is alive. Only days after returning to Rome, Pope Leo XIV reflected on the days spent in Spain, not first with statistics, not with headlines, but with gratitude. Gratitude to God, gratitude for the people, gratitude for every prayer, every welcome, every open heart. And perhaps that became the true story of this journey. Not where the Pope travelled, but what happened in the hearts of those who welcomed him.
Padre que conecta con Santo Padre que conecta con
Long before the arrival, long before the cameras, people were already preparing. Church communities, volunteers, families, young Catholics, priests, ordinary people. Not because they expected spectacle, but because they expected encounter. When the Holy Father arrived, there was enthusiasm, but also something quieter. People came carrying intentions. Some came
Padre, Figlio e Spirito Santo.
seeking encouragement. Some came carrying grief. Some simply wanted to be reminded that they were not walking alone. The Pope later expressed special appreciation for King Felipe VI and for all who helped welcome the Church during those days. But again and again his attention returned to people. Not events, not schedules, people. The grandmother holding a rosary. The young person wondering where God fits into modern life. The volunteer quietly serving. The family hoping for peace. Because every apostolic journey begins the same way.
Cercando di raggiungere tutti con la gioia del Vangelo. L'essenziale è vivere con Cristo. Cristo e diffondere il suo Vangelo è ciò che ci deve stare a cuore.
Reflecting on the journey during his general audience in Rome, the Pope spoke of the profound comfort he received from the Spanish people. The people of God gave me great comfort through their joyful expression of their faith and affection, he said.
Oggi desidero proporre alcune riflessioni sul viaggio apostolico che ho compiuto la settimana scorsa in Spagna.
Today I would like to share some reflections on the apostolic journey I made last week to Spain, visiting Madrid, Barcelona, the Abbey of Montserrat and the Canary Islands. After the long journey in 4 African countries, this time I found myself immersed in a European country with an ancient and very rich Catholic tradition. And it appeared evident that today in Spain, which has experienced significant social and cultural changes, the Pope was welcomed everywhere with enthusiasm and readiness to listen.
E a tutto il popolo spagnolo, al re.
For this I give thanks to God and to the entire Spanish people, the king and the civil authorities, the bishops and the church communities. The people of God gave me great comfort through their joyful expression of their faith and affection. For my part, I confirmed the faithful, and as Bishop of Rome, I encouraged them to overcome every form of division and conflict by always promoting communion, dialogue, and unity in diversity.
Questo è il servizio proprio del successore di Pietro. Servizio che nei viaggi apostolici.
This is the very service of the successor of Peter. A service which finds a specific expression in apostolic journeys, each time adapted to the ecclesial and social situations of the countries visited. In the case of Spain, I was able to observe with joy how much people of every age and situation were looking forward to the Pope's visit. Everywhere I found multitudes who welcomed me with great warmth. This fact was not to be taken for granted and is worthy of reflection.
Tale partecipazione esprime anzitutto, come dicevo, la fede del popolo spagnolo.
Naturally, such participation expresses, first of all, as I said, the faith of the Spanish people. At the same time, I believe it reveals a widespread need to find unity on a true and deep foundation, one that is neither ideological nor based on partial interests. That foundation which, in the final analysis, only Christ can ensure, and which the Gospel, through the necessary enculturation, can convey in the lives of peoples. It can do so because its message fully responds to both these needs: the search for truth and the thirst for justice.
A Madrid e a Barcellona ci siamo radunati nelle grandi cattedrali, come pure negli stadi modernissimi.
In Madrid and Barcelona, we gathered in the great cathedral, as well as in modern stadiums. We prayed the Holy Rosary at the Abbey of Montserrat. We celebrated at the Sagrada Familia a majestic symbol, a symphony of stones and light that speaks to everyone of the Christian mystery. This encounter of ancient and modern, Catholic tradition and contemporary culture enabled me to perceive firsthand the very character of Europe, its inestimable wealth, as a living reality, not a thing of the past. It is a heritage to be safeguarded with care, so that it may be invested in today's global world with its momentous challenges: peace, integral ecology, equitable and sustainable development, and respect for human dignity.
Sono sfide che il Concilio Vaticano II aveva già chiaramente riconosciuto e sulle quali è ritornato il magistero successivo fino alla mia
They are challenges that the Second Vatican Council had already recognized and to which the subsequent magisterium returned. up to me recent encyclical Magnifica Humanitas, which aims to safeguard the human person in the time of artificial intelligence. I grasped through the various meetings the need to listen through the Pope's voice, the gospel of hope for today's humanity, sorely tried by the negative consequences of a deceptive model of development.
Che ha trovato espressione nelle tante testimonianze che ho potuto ascoltare, testimonianze a volte commoventi.
This need, which found expression in the many testimonies I was able to listen to, testimonies at times moving, at times edifying, I recognized also and above all in the faces of the little ones and the poor whom I met, the child who read his letter to me in the parish, some victims of abuse who asked to be heard, inmates who were waiting for me in the prison, young people full of anxiety and aspirations, migrants in the reception centers in the Canary Islands. It was precisely there, in the Canary Islands, the final stop on our journey, that I was offered a comprehensive insight. It was offered to me, on the one hand, by the very geographical location of that archipelago, and on the other hand, by the reality of a local church which welcomes a large number of forced migrants, coming mainly from Africa. We know that the phenomenon of migration is complex and requires organic and coordinated action plans. But this interpretation opens up a different, broader perspective. It enables us to understand how we are called to reread the gospel in today's world, exchanging with each other the gifts of our respective cultures, and in particular, the results produced in them by the fruitfulness of Christ's message. And one of these fruits is precisely the dialogue between people and between peoples, the encounter in a spirit of fraternity, which enables us to discover and appreciate one another's values. This path is not easy. It requires goodwill and God's help, but it is the path that leads to the civilization of love. Dear brothers and sisters, the motto of this apostolic journey was Alzad la mirada, lift up your eyes. These are the words of Jesus addressed to the first disciples to teach them to see in people and in the crowds the desire for life, truth, and fullness. The Lord repeats those words to me first, and by His grace I also experienced them during this journey. Today I would like to share this invitation with you. Let us lift up our eyes. Let us learn from Jesus to look at our neighbor, at people, at the world through God's eyes. That is, with love, respect, and compassion. Finally, I would like to thank all those who prayed for the success of this apostolic journey, especially the contemplative nuns, who in Spain, thanks be to God, are very numerous. Continue to pray, so that by the intercession of the Virgin Mary, the seeds I scattered may bear abundant fruit. Thank you.
Gran Canaria. Mass begins. Thousands gather. The atmosphere shifts. At first there is movement, noise, conversations. Then silence. Prayer begins. The crowd slows. People kneel. Candles appear. And suddenly, the moment becomes deeply personal. For some, it is joy. For others, healing. For others, simply peace. No one sees every story, but God does. This is one of those moments impossible to explain afterward, only to remember. People will return home, return to work, return to ordinary life. But something
Tutto il
small
mondo
may have changed.
a dire quando ci sono momenti difficili,
That is how faith
se,
works.
se non c'è
Quietly,
unità,
patiently,
amore, la
deeply.
presenza
Every journey ends. Every pilgrimage reaches a final moment. The Holy Father prepares to leave. There are no long speeches, only a final invitation. Lift up your gaze. Look beyond fear. Look beyond division. Look beyond discouragement. Do not become trapped by what is temporary. Remember what lasts. Remember what is eternal. Lift your gaze toward Christ, toward hope, toward heaven. And those words remain, because they are not only for Spain, they are for everyone. Madrid. Night. The lights rise over Santiago Bernabeu Stadium. Normally, this place belongs to competition. Noise, victory, defeat. But tonight, something changes. Seats fill, not with supporters of opposing sides, but with people arriving together. Young adults, families, religious sisters, priests, children, people from every background. One after another, testimonies are shared. Stories of struggle, stories of conversion, stories of perseverance, stories of finding faith again. The Holy Father listens, then he stands, and the atmosphere changes. His message is not complicated, but it asks something. Bear witness to the joy of the gospel in unity and diversity. Not uniformity, not becoming identical. Unity. Different gifts, different experiences, different ways of serving. One church. He reflects on baptism, not as something completed in childhood, but as a beginning. The beginning of mission, the beginning of belonging, the beginning of saying yes to Christ. Then he speaks about walking together, listening, accompanying, building a church that moves with people, not ahead of them, not behind them, with them, and then the words that remain become a symphony of hope. Not one instrument, not one voice, a symphony, each person carrying something unique, yet together creating something beautiful. Remain, staying home of feelings, feels like a cathedral, and thousands leave carrying one question, who is?
Si è calmato.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, sono felice di salutare tutti voi, concittadini e conterranei di Santa Francesca Saverio Cabrini. Ringrazio il Vescovo, Monsignor Maurizio Malvestiti, e il Parroco, il Sindaco e le altre autorità civili. Sono qui per rendere omaggio a Madre Cabrini, patrona dei migranti, prima santa degli Stati Uniti d'America, nata qui a Sant'Angelo Lodigiano nel 1850 e morta a Chicago, la mia città natale, nel 1917. Quando ho saputo che Sant'Angelo Lodigiano dista pochi chilometri da Pavia, ho pensato subito da cogliere l'occasione ed eccomi qua. Grazie della vostra calorosa accoglienza. Così voi mi dimostrate l'amore della Chiesa laudense per il Papa, un amore che Madre Cabrini nutriva con singolare devozione e obbedienza. Infatti, quando fu il momento della scelta decisiva sulla rotta da dare alla missione del suo istituto religioso, volle che fosse il Papa a indicarla. E Leone XIII fu chiaro: non all'Oriente ma all'Occidente, al servizio delle migliaia di emigrati italiani in America, come già le aveva suggerito il Vescovo di Piacenza, San Giovanni Battista Scalabrini. Attraverso le voci di questi due pastori illuminati, Madre Cabrini interpretò i segni dei tempi e comprese che il sogno di andare in Cina, emulando San Francesco Saverio, si doveva realizzare là dove in quel momento maggiore era il bisogno. Ma care sorelle, cari fratelli, se guardiamo al mondo di oggi, che cosa dobbiamo dire? Quel segno, cioè il fenomeno migratorio, è entrato in una fase diversa, sicuramente più complessa, eppure non meno capace di interpellare la Chiesa. Domandiamoci: se Madre Francesca vivesse oggi, che cosa le direbbe la sua anima missionaria? O meglio, che cosa direbbe il cuore di Cristo al suo cuore di donna consacrata a Lui e al servizio del suo regno? E che cosa le avrebbe chiesto un Papa, come Francesco, il quale, figlio di emigrati italiani, ha fatto del servizio ai migranti uno dei punti chiave del suo pontificato. Carissimi, Papa Francesco ha voluto che la sua terza enciclica, Dilexit Nos, che è risultata poi l'ultima, fosse dedicata all'amore umano e divino del cuore di Cristo, cioè a quel mistero di carità infinita che è l'unico vero motore della vita di Santa Cabrini, di tutto ciò che ha realizzato e ancor più di come lo ha fatto. Ebbene, in questa enciclica Papa Francesco scrive: l'attualità della devozione al cuore di Cristo è particolarmente evidente nell'opera evangelizzatrice ed educativa di numerose congregazioni religiose femminili e maschili che sono state segnate fin dalle loro origini da questa esperienza spirituale cristologica. Da parte mia ho ereditato e portato avanti il magistero di Papa Francesco con l'esortazione apostolica di Lexite sull'amore verso i poveri. E là dove si parla della carità nella forma di accompagnare i migranti, compare proprio accanto a San Giovanni Battista Scalabrini la figura di Santa Francesca Saverio Cabrini. Il suo cuore materno, che non si dava pace, li raggiungeva dappertutto, gli emigrati, nei tuguri, nelle carceri, nelle miniere. Lei stessa ha scritto così: nessun lavoro sarà troppo difficile, nessuna terra troppo lontana, nessuna persona troppo ferita per l'amore del cuore di Gesù e per tutti coloro invitati ad essere portatori dell'amore di Cristo nel mondo. Fratelli e sorelle, cosa c'è di più attuale di questo carisma? Lo dico qui, davanti alla reliquia del cuore di Madre Cabrini, portata dalla casa madre di Codogno. Lo dico salutando e ringraziando con affetto le sue figlie spirituali, le suore missionarie del Sacro Cuore di Gesù. Cosa c'è di più attuale di un carisma missionario che si pone al servizio dei migranti? Colgo dunque questa occasione per rivolgere un appello, specialmente ai giovani. Conoscete Santa Francesca Cabrini, leggete i suoi scritti, pieni di passione per Gesù e per la missione, le sue lettere, i suoi diari di viaggio, gli appunti dei suoi ritiri. Chi conosce Madre Cabrini ne rimane conquistato. La sua anima era nello stesso tempo contemplativa e attiva. Era immersa nell'amore del cuore di Cristo e questo le dava una capacità di lavoro e una forza d'animo straordinarie, coerentemente con il motto paolino che aveva scelto per l'istituto: tutto posso in colui che mi dà la forza. Questo appello lo rivolgo in modo speciale alla Chiesa che è a Lodi, che oggi mi ha accolto con tanto affetto, e vorrei esprimerlo in forma di augurio. La Chiesa di San Bastiano si distingua sempre per quei tratti che risplendono in questa sua figlia così gloriosa. Con il suo esempio e la sua intercessione, Santa Cabrini vi aiuti a essere innamorati di Cristo, testimoni del suo Vangelo con stile operoso e generoso al servizio dei più poveri. Vi aiuti a vivere una sinodalità effettiva, camminando uniti e tendendo insieme alla santità nella varietà dei doni e dei ministeri. Per questo vi assicuro la mia preghiera. Infine, prego il Signore per le missionarie del Sacro Cuore di Gesù in ogni loro comunità. Dio le benedica e le rinnovi nella fedeltà al carisma di Madre Cabrini e possa la Chiesa intera guardare a questa stupenda missionaria dell'amore per imparare che cosa significa servire il regno di Dio nel vivo della storia. A tutti voi e a vostri cari imparto di cuore la benedizione apostolica. Grazie.
And perhaps that becomes the final lesson of the journey. Faith is not measured by how loudly we speak, but by how deeply we trust, by how faithfully we love, by how often we remember to give thanks. So the invitation remains: bear witness, live the joy of the gospel, become a symphony of hope, lift up your gaze, and remember, Christ still walks with his people. To God be the glory.